Perez Hilton is losing in court once again, and he just got called out by Blake Lively's legal team. As you guys know, he has been subpoenaed by Blake Lively's lawyers for all his contact information that he had with Team Baldoni over the lawsuit with Blake and Justin. Well, he's trying to fight that subpoena, and in doing so, he is acting like a complete fool in the court system and has probably submitted 30 letters to the judge now. He's been using this whole situation, of course, for clicks and views and monetization on all of his pages, running with it as he typically would. But the other day he did something pretty low. He's been using his kids now as his content. He posted a whole video with fake outrage over Blake Lively's legal team having pictures of his kids in the court docket. This is one of the screenshots that's in the court docket. Now it's a screenshot of Perez Hilton's main page with his bio write-up. Underneath here, he has a picture pinned of the Backstreet Boys with 2 children, which I'm assuming are his kids. However, you might also see this on the page as well. This is a whole folder just of Perez Hilton's children, just content with them, videos, pictures, whatever. If you click that playlist, it brings you to this, where it will play you every single thing that Perez Hilton has ever uploaded with his children. Can you see the dotted line at the top? Each dot represents a video that includes Perez Hilton's young minor children. Clearly, Perez Hilton does not care if his children are on the internet. He's doing it himself. Yet when a picture, a screenshot of the main page of his Instagram, as well as a screenshot of the main page of his actual website, the About Perez Hilton, which had a picture of his kids, was put in the court docket, he lost his mind. Well, Blake Lively's legal team has called out his BS in a new filing that has just hit the docket. And here it is. Let's go through it. Miss Lively respectfully submits this letter in response to one of the many letters Mario, aka Perez Hilton, has filed to the court docket. The letter dated August 10th, in which Mr. Hilton seeks immediate action and asks the court to impose the strongest sanctions on undersigned counsel for purportedly filing multiple pictures of his children on the docket. Mr. Hilton lambasts Miss Lively's filing of Exhibits C and D as cruel and calculated, and sanctionably writing, "Shame on Blake Lively and Ezra Hudson for exposing my vulnerable young family to such risk. Shame on them." We're going to address in a minute why this says sanctionably writing this. Okay, let's get into the meat of this. So Exhibits C and D both reflect material that Mr. Hilton has publicly posted and continues to maintain on his own online platforms, including the photographs he seeks to seal. Then it specifically says why they needed these pictures, because Miss Lively attached them and cited these exhibits for the biographic information that Mr. Hilton posted. They needed to prove that he does not refer to himself as a journalist and never has. And again, it states these pictures were publicly accessible. Exhibit C is a screenshot of Mr. Hilton's own verified Instagram profile, which has 921,000 followers and is publicly accessible. Mr. Hilton's Instagram includes a bookmark titled My Kids that links to videos that he posts of his children. They also wanted to add in here that none of the pictures that they posted indicate that these are actually Perez Hilton's children. And the other picture, Exhibit D, is a screenshot of the About Perez Hilton page on his very public website. Mr. Hilton's publicly accessible website includes the photograph of himself and 3 children. Again, they're not identified. And then says where he lives and what he does and calls himself a gossip columnist. Miss Lively cited and filed these pictures on the public docket with a good faith belief that the materials were not confidential, as reflected by their general availability to anyone who visits Mr. Hilton's public Instagram, including any of his nearly 1 million followers or his own website. And then they ended off by saying, in his filing, Mr. Hilton does not acknowledge that these pictures reflect content that he himself posted on his publicly accessible platform. Nor does he attempt to explain in a matter of fact or law why this public filing is cruel or calculated, like he tried to say. He is responsible for not only posting the materials publicly in the first place, but also for amplifying this in his own content on his platforms. So basically, it's ridiculous that he's going after Blake Lively's team for putting his children's pictures in 2 screenshots of his own platforms in the court docket. The court docket, not on their websites, the court docket. But this is what I want to talk to you guys about, the sanctionable part. Such accusations are false and defamatory and inconsistent with the court's order prohibiting using language that is disrespectful of the parties, their counsel, or the court. As you know, the judge has already warned all parties involved and sent a letter to the docket specifically for Perez Hilton saying they're going to be sanctioned if they're being disrespectful or making defamatory comments anymore in letters in the court docket. They ended off by saying Miss Lively does not object to and generally takes no position at all on Mr. Hilton's request to seal these documents. Basically, they could care less. They're not concerned with these pictures because he's not. Like I said, they are all over his social media accounts. They are extremely public to over 1 million viewers just on his Instagram page. And he took another L in the courts because the judge has now ruled that he is not going to grant Perez Hilton's extension for more time to respond to Blake's motion. The judge noted in this that he's got to the 13th to respond and that the court isn't going to be reviewing and looking at the jurisdiction issue until at least the 14th. As you know, Perez Hilton was just one of the 4 content creators who was named by Justin Baldoni's crisis manager, Melissa Nathan, for being in contact with them and their team and seeding, generating, creating, or influencing social media on behalf of or at the request of Wayfair. So perhaps instead of wasting all of this time writing numerous letters, maybe he should just sit down and actually respond to the subpoena. All he had to do was hand over his communications that he's had with Team Baldoni regarding Blake Llively and Ryan Reynolds. I'm going to share with you just a little bit from his August 8th letter and show you how he tries to twist the situation and make himself look innocent, when we have all heard from himself how he had sources from Team Baldoni that were giving him information. First thing he does is he cites and quotes an article that was written because he didn't like the headline. Listen, I respectfully inform this court that Us Weekly recently ran a headline that says, Blake Llively slams Perez Hilton in court for calling her Ku Klux Khaleesi, says he's not a journalist. I believe it is important for this court and counsel for both parties to see what this all has degraded into. Pardon me? This is why Blake Llively is in court right now, because all the headlines like this were directed at her before. He's not liking now that it's directed at him. He goes on to say, this case was supposed to be about alleged sexual harassment and an alleged smear campaign that began in August 24. That's exactly what it is. So the new narrative that these pro-Justin, anti-Blake creators are pushing is that Blake Llively has dropped her SH allegations and she's just focusing on hurt feelings or these ads and articles that were being pushed out. We all know, however, that the SH part of Blake's claim is already laid out. She told exactly what happened. Justin actually didn't dispute what happened. He just tried to give context around it as to why it's okay he said and did the things he did. The subpoenas that she's sending out now are collecting the evidence she needs for the smear campaign and the retaliation and defamation, which he left out of his letter. That's what she needs the evidence for because she already has her SH evidence all laid out. And as for trying to clear his name and sound like he had no part in this smear campaign or retaliation, this is what he says. Unfortunately for Miss Lively, no one gave me any information regarding her or her glaringly unprofessional behavior towards the Wayfair defendants at any point in 2024. And he also notes the fact that the crisis manager, Melissa Nathan, actually called him irrelevant and said no one watches his content anymore anyway. And again, that was in 2024. Then he reiterates that in 2024, not a single person shared any information with me that I used in my reporting on this mess. Not a single email, a text, and he goes on and on. Great. So you didn't get it in 2024. I don't really think anyone said you did. It was after her complaint, her CRD complaint came forward in December, the end of 2024. And then in January, when it all started to come out, all of the retaliation, defamation, etc. It's going to be interesting to see how the judge responds to all of this. I will definitely keep you updated, so make sure to hit follow.